From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Our connection this hour was made in 1979 when a new show premiered in the UK. February 18th, 1979, British viewers watched something entirely different. An exploration of our attics and our basements and our ancestors and their history. They were watching the first ever episode of Antiques Roadshow. Viewers were amazed to see a German painted metal figure, originally purchased for just half a crown, appraised for between 500 and 600 pounds. Suddenly everyone wanted to wonder, what's currently stowed away in my house, just waiting for an appraiser to turn it to gold? And that's what draws us in, doesn't it? We are fascinated by history, our past, and the little mysteries lurking somewhere in the cellar. Antiques Roadshow gives us a chance to explore. We are always learning and asking why so many of us have terrifying figurines of clowns. Well, in 1997, Antiques Roadshow made its American debut, quickly becoming a fan obsession. We watched in wonder as appraisers considered a plaster and hair false head used by 1940s bank robber Willie Sutton to escape prison. We laughed at the Coco de Mer, a huge set of coconuts that looked like... Google it. There were incredibly preserved old baseball cards, Native American clothing, a Swiss-made pocket watch worth 6 and then 7 figures. Decades later, Antiques Roadshow remains an institution because the concept is timeless. As long as human beings collect and pass down stuff, we will need someone to tell us what in the world it is, where it came from, and whether it's worth anything. Antiques Roadshow has come to the Rochester region this week. Tomorrow's event at Genesee Country Village Museum sold out quickly. I'm going to say that again. It sold out quickly. The amount of people in the last week in my life who've said, can you just grab me a ticket? I cannot get a ticket for the governor. I cannot get a ticket for my mother. If you have tickets, you are in luck. If you don't, please don't just show up there. But I will tell you this. We are lucky to have the team from Antiques Roadshow here on Connections. And we've got a live audience. Will you welcome them now? It is great to have them here. Let me introduce them. In studio, Marsha Bemko, executive producer of Antiques Roadshow. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Sam Farrell, senior producer. Welcome to you, Sam.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Leigh, Keno, and Arlie Sulka are the appraisers. Welcome to both of you. Celebrities in your own right, of course. And welcome to Becky, Wehle, president and CEO of Genesee Country Village and Museum. You got a big day tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you excited?
Yes. We've been talking about this for over a year, so we're very excited.
It's bizarre that it is actually on the doorstep now because there's all this buildup. It almost feels like Christmas Eve in a way here. So it's going to be really, really lovely. And the outcome is going to be 3 episodes of Antiques Roadshow airing on PBS from tomorrow's event alone, but it's going to happen in 2027. They need some time to edit, of course. So they're very, very excited. We're glad they're here. The audience is going to ask some questions later this hour, but let me just start by welcoming them. And I'll ask Marsha, you've been all over the place. How did you decide to come here?
It's been a while since we were here. We were last in Rochester, which if you do it like Roadshow counts it, some of us do it a little different. Mumford is not Rochester.
Agree.
Right?
Sure.
Right. So we were last here in season 3, and this is season 31. So you were due for a visit.
We were due.
You were due for a visit. And not every venue, because now we don't do it in convention centers anymore. We're in beautiful historic outdoor locations. They don't all want to let us in, because we have like 3,000 friends that might trample their grounds.
Yeah.
So who's going to let us in? How can we build a tour? And we landed perfectly here.
How many people applied for tickets? How many people are coming tomorrow?
Well, we'll see. About 3,000 are coming. 26,028 people applied for the 2,000 pairs we give out, which is the most for any tour city this year, but it's always well more than the 2,000 pairs we give out. So most people, they didn't get a ticket if they tried.
We have heard from so many people who waited too long, but
if the governor wants to get in, we'll.
You're going to make that happen?
Yes. So I have tickets. Don't ask me for any. But we'll let in governors.
I've been told to direct everybody to Becky Wehle, who wants a last-minute ticket. How do you feel about that, Becky?
They'll have to get in line after all the people who've asked me already this morning.
Well, I bet. And, not to be trite about it, but boy, oh boy, what an amazing forecast. We had a lot of hot, humid weather last week. We're going to have rain later in the week. You got the sweet spot tomorrow, don't you?
Yes, we do. We've been watching it with the Antiques Roadshow folks all week because they have a rain plan, and we do not need to go to that. We're going with our good weather plan.
Well, Sam Farrell is someone who's been senior producing Antiques Roadshow alongside Marsha for just about the same amount of time here. And to me, this concept might just exist forever as long as humans exist. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think how you described it is one way of describing it, but the other way is when you peel back those details about the object or how it was found and all the rest of it, you get to some stories that are really compelling.
Absolutely.
And that's what people watch for. I think that's enduring. And as we know, certain collectible items are no longer worth anything. I mean, when's the last time we appraised a Beanie Baby? I don't know. But brown furniture, Victorian furniture is suffering right now. Who knows if that will ever recover? So the things that we look at change and so on and so forth. So that provides some variety. But the biggest variety is the individual stories.
Well, and to that point, listening to Marsha talk to the audience before the program, you were all talking about the fact that most of the items that are appraised don't get sold. People decide to keep most of the time.
Well, it's important to state here, we don't buy or sell at
Of course.
Roadshow at all.
Of course.
And otherwise there would be an inherent conflict of interest. So we allow people to contact our appraisers after the show. If they want to sell it, they might go to that appraiser. So the ones that we actually hear about, very few and far between.
Why do you think that is?
As Marsha said earlier, it's because once you've sold it, you can't afford to buy it back. I mean, you have to pay a buyer's premium and all the rest of it. You're going to spend an extra 25%, 30% just getting it back. But I also think that it gets back to the stories, that most people's objects aren't worth life-changing amounts of money. I think that's a difference. And to keep it around because you've now got this added Antiques Roadshow story, it's a conversation piece. Why not? That's something you have in your living room that meant something to you before and means even more afterwards.
Yeah, I think I have to think there are some people who presume, Marsha, that when they show up, if they get a decent appraisal, they'll try to sell it. But the more time they spend thinking about it, they think, did this come down through generations? Why did I have this in the first place? Why would I part with it, right?
Especially with family objects. It's been in your family for generations. It's precious. People who have need will sell their items. Or we once saw a Rolf's chair that the woman was worth like 90 grand. What's it worth now? Anyway, she sold it because that was her only good thing, and she had 3 daughters, and she just couldn't split the chair in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Very often people who have a good Rolf chair have some other stuff to split up, but she just got lucky and bought that a long time ago. So people don't sell unless they have a need, is what we've discovered, pretty much. Or they don't have anybody to give it to and they want a museum to have it, kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Becky, are you showing up with anything to appraise tomorrow?
I do have some things in the back
Do
of
you
my
really?
car.
I love that. All right. And have you been a fan for a long time of this show?
Yes, and we have gotten countless questions over the years about, have we ever thought about having Antiques Roadshow come to the museum? So I think it's a great opportunity for us as well.
Have you all, I'm sure you've all seen the space now, Marsha, the whole team. Sam, no? You haven't been
Yeah,
there?
they haven't been
We're
out there.
going there straight from here.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
think you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And so what a day. Are you excited for them to see the space for the first time?
Yes, a lot of staff came yesterday, a lot of the production crew, and they have all said that they are very, impressed. The great space, everything looks good, so they're very pleased to be with us.
Well, Sam mentioned something. I want to talk to the appraisers. Leigh and Arlie are kind of celebrities in your own right here. And Sam mentioned that there are certain genres that have kind of declined in value or declined in interest over time. I think you mentioned Victorian. Is that what you mentioned, Sam?
Victorian furniture, yeah.
Victorian furniture. So, Leigh, Arlie, let's start there. Why? What's wrong with Victorian furniture?
Well, first of all, there are lots of things that have also gone up greatly.
Of course, because I think that's what we presume over time, that there's
Right.
some sort of an appreciation as opposed to, oh, I held on to this for too long.
Right, but there are certain pieces of American furniture that, and it sounds like I'm just being defensive of American furniture because I love it, and I am. But no, but truly, American brown, they call it brown furniture, brown is down. You guys have heard that, right?
Brown is down.
Brown is down.
Yep.
But it was so up. It was so up in the 90s. We called those days the go-go 90s, the go-go days. But they were so up that, pieces were selling in the millions of dollars. Having said that, recently there was a transaction of over $14 million for a table within 3 years ago that I was peripherally involved with, tiny way. But that goes to show you, for a masterpiece, for the greatest object, it's still going to bring millions of dollars. But the Victorian the belter chair, or the carved, ornate Victorian piece, or I hate to pick on Victorian so much, right?
Well, the same things happened to Victorian glass.
Yeah, that's right.
The interest for that was really spiking in the 70s and the 80s, and it really actually started to fall in the 90s, and now there's really very little interest in it, unfortunately. So I think it's generations. I also think, a lot of children don't like what their parents have, and that hurts. It does skip a generation, and then you have a situation where the grandchildren are saying, I can't believe you sold that. But we're seeing that in the glass area in Steuben, this is Steuben country. That was peaking in the early 2000s, and now it's softened quite a bit because most of the collectors have moved on to higher places, and the younger kids just don't want it.
Do you think Arlie, is it because the idea of a china cabinet, Evan and Arlie, is out the window? I mean, in the old days, every dining room had a china cabinet and cut glasses in there and carnival glass.
Oh yes, that's so out of fashion that even at our gallery, we had a lot of our smaller pieces behind glass, and we took all the glass doors off because you have to make things more accessible. Nobody wants to see them put away like that.
Right.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it was probably 5 years ago. My son, who's now 14, was maybe 8 or 9, and we were visiting family over the holidays, and he pointed at something in a room and said, Dad, what is that? And I said, what is what? That right there. I said, the grandfather clock? The clock? He said, that's a clock? Why would a clock need to be so big? And he's like, he said, they're everywhere, And I said, well, the world was a little different before the digitization of everything.
Right.
But I think to Arlie's point, until, the culture changes, sometimes you don't notice it until a new generation tells you, we don't want that china cabinet anymore. We don't want that grandfather clock, which can be difficult. But objects can still have value for craftsmanship, for who the artist was. I mean, so in terms of the value side of it, it doesn't necessarily make it obsolete, right, Leigh?
Right, and I think there's a whole movement of younger people collecting everything from vintage workwear, vintage denim jeans and clothing to certainly memorabilia. The memorabilia table is as busy as ever, and baseball cards are a Honus Wagner with it was 500,000 years ago is now in the millions, right, for one in good condition. Anybody have a Honus Wagner card out there?
I'm fascinated by cards because I made this assumption for a long time that cards would be less of a collector's item because they can be so mass produced and the rarity. But now manufacturers are forcing rarity. They'll take a Josh Allen jersey, chop it up into 1,000 pieces, and this Josh Allen card has a piece of his actual jersey worn in a game. There's only 1,000 cards or 100 like it. So it's sort of forced scarcity
Limited
is designed
edition.
to draw. Yeah, limited edition. So everyone's got an idea about how to make something valuable. But cards are doing great right now.
Yeah.
How about sneakers? I mean,
Sneakers.
the sneakers that sell for tremendous amounts of money.
Used sneakers?
Well,
Like gym used sneakers?
they have to be connected to somebody famous.
I see.
Yeah.
Game used.
Yes,
Game used.
Game used, but not much.
I was going to say, Arlie, I've got plenty of sneakers. Game used sneakers by athletes. Okay.
A good one.
And when you do an appraisal, can you take me through a little bit of the mechanics of, because I think a lot of your viewers are amazed at how good you are, at how accurate you are. And that doesn't mean that you have a perfect record, of course, that's impossible. But how do you find a range that feels right? Can you both take me through a little bit of the process?
Sure. Do you want me
You can start.
I mean, first of all, when someone comes up to the table, and this is hard for me, but I try to not show any emotion. And I was,
Poker face.
yeah, right. And Marsha and Sam are smiling here, laughing because, but I literally try to stay as calm as possible. I keep telling myself, stay calm, just don't show your. That's why I'm so terrible at poker. When we have an annual poker game, and bottom line is, when we do find something great, we just ask the people to wait, and we try not to talk much more with them, and then we find a producer. And Sam, Marsha, and there are four of you with Marsha heading them up. One of them come by, and in the meantime, you really want to talk with that owner as little as possible. You don't want to interact because you want it to be, if it does go on air, you want it to be fresh. And that's why those appraisals, they're not staged at all. They're they really are, they're real. They're real. When the people are going, it's not like they've heard this 3 times before, and you can tell, right? But the great thing that Marsha and Sam do, and all the producers, is that they have that tough job of having to say no to this manically excited, right, Arlie? We get really excited about some stuff, but they can tell if we're just desperate, or
Yes.
we've been there all day looking at junk, right?
Oh,
And-
absolutely.
And we're going like, we're really just, what are you, making wine out of water or whatever?
No, I mean, I've had producers saying, I'm not really feeling this here, Arlie,
And you would be right.
And then I'm going, yeah, you're right.
I was told not to say the word junk, and you just used it, Leigh.
Oh, that's Junque.
Right.
Of course, Junque.
No.
Je ne parle pas français.
But, what I always find fun, very entertaining is after, we've decided that I want to pitch something to the producers, I carefully bring my guest over and I make sure that they cover up their item, because what we found is sometimes other guests want to be appraisers. And literally they will walk by and go, oh, that's a piece of Tiffany, and then there you go, there goes my pitch, So we're very careful about that. But one of the funnier things was, I did get a green light to go on TV, and the woman who I was going to praise was in the green room waiting, and the person who accompanied her wandered out of the green room and came over to the table. She goes, can't you tell me what it is? I won't tell. and how much is it worth? I said, you're going to have to wait.
So to the producers, when they decide it's worth talking to Sam or talking to you, what is the process that you're going through to decide if something meets a certain level here?
Well, I start with, I want to learn from the expert. If Arlie or Leigh is pitching, what do you got? Explain it to me so that I understand what they understand. Then I interview the guests, and I ask them, how did you get this item? I ask a ton of questions, because here's what we've learned, is that guests will want to tell us what they think we want to hear. So we ask a lot of questions to get to the story. Very often it's inherited things, but if you paid $5,000 for a vase, what do you know about it? Nothing. I don't believe you. So, because you paid $5,000. So it's kind of like we ask a lot of questions.
People will spend a lot of money without really thinking through it. I'm pretty confident of that.
You're probably right about that,
Yeah.
but I'm going to make sure. So, and so will all the 4 pickers. We ask a lot of questions. We want to set the experts up for success in that interview process, because they don't, if they're not truthful, then they're truthful in front of the camera. And so we want to make sure our experts have paid their own way. They have a lot invested to be there. And we want to make sure that we set it up for a successful interview. Like I say to them, I want to have the difficulty of deciding what I just can't cut. Yeah.
A good problem to have.
Yeah.
You want to add to that, Sam, too?
Well, actually, Marsha and I do it in reverse. I go to the guest first. And I don't know why, but it always feels that way I'm hearing what the appraiser would hear first, because very often the appraisers know nothing, not even the story, because they don't want to get the guest too worked up about it. So they put them to one side in the shade, usually, on a chair. But In fact, we have one appraiser who insists on taking the guest at least 50 yards away from his table, so he can't overhear things. But no, I interview the guest, and one of the things I've learned is people want to fill empty space. And so when you're interviewing a guest, if you ask them a question and they're not being forthcoming, very often I'll go over to the appraiser and pretend to talk about something and then go back and see if they've developed in their mind that somehow, I should really tell the truth about
Did
this.
you work in police work?
No, but I was told, we once had a volunteer who worked for I think it was the FBI, could have been CIA, and they told me my technique was very good.
Leigh, did you want to you wanted to jump in with something here?
No, just going to say that when you do give the go ahead, the person's immediately whisked away, so there's no interaction between us and the owner, right? And we just want them to know as little as possible, and that goes to, it's true whether it's a fake or whether it's a masterpiece, and so that's about it.
How many fakes are out there? I mean, how common are fakes?
Well, the problem is none of us want to do fakes. As appraisers, we all
The
hate.
show wants them.
The show wants them.
We just hate
Wait.
giving bad news. It's just,
But do
it's
you want them for the
heartbreaking.
drama of having to tell somebody this thing that you thought was something is something else?
Yes, and I also think they're great teachers.
Yep, they are.
You have
They
really
are.
great teachers about what to avoid. What did somebody do to fake it? So they're great
It
teachers,
can be
and plus it's
it can be
great television.
It can be heartbreaking, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
But we
But really what we want is our guests to be really happy or to cry, so no.
You are the executive producer. I
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Marsha's point about teaching is very true. I've not met an appraiser who's willing to do it just for the sport. If it's going to be a fake, they've got to impart some knowledge, and they want to appear and to be sympathetic, not in a sort of brutal way. And that's for different kinds of television than ours.
Yeah.
So we don't build them up to think it's real and then say it does have this, which it's done in the 15th century, and it does have this, and then at the end say, but that's a fake, It's nicer to, I think, although it's not great at TV, I understand, to kind of let them know, I've always done this, like tell them fairly upfront that they've brought a fake, because I just hate building them up and then ripping them down, on TV. But if you can then point out why, what aspects of this tell us it's a fake. I mean, and I do it with folk art and furniture. Arlie, I've seen you do it with a Tiffany lamp brilliantly. You explain, right, why it's not a Tiffany lamp. Did you actually, the first year of the show, I remember there was a lady who wasn't honest. Marsha was talking about dishonesty about what they know about it. She turned out to be a dealer, and was it you that told her what it was, that it was not a real Tiffany lamp? And then the lady was so upset because she turns out she's a dealer, and she saw her whole life flash before her eyes. Because she's a dealer on TV, being told that something she thought was a real Tiffany lamp was not. And it was the first year. Was it? Did you?
And
Was it somebody else?
I was not the one.
I remember that. I think it was in Syracuse that it happened.
Yeah, no, I didn't come on board until Rochester in 1998, actually.
Right.
That's great. That's a long time. But I remember the producers. They didn't ever use it, but they, she lunged out for the appraiser to strangle her, kind of thing.
I would remember that, Leigh.
Yeah, you really remembered it, right? No, it never made it on TV, but and it wasn't ever dangerous. But she was really she had signed something, and she was not honest about who she was.
Oh, I see.
We make you sign an appearance release and a materials release for your object and for your appearance before you tape. Because we don't want you have to will you not air that? No, we're airing it. So, yeah, we make you sign something. But I have to go looking for that footage. I just heard that story.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. It was, yeah, I know, first year.
That's what we do here, Marsha. We uncover things that not even the team at Antiques Roadshow.
Telling you. Yeah.
That's good. So, Becky, Wehle, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to have the chance to watch some of this action live, or are you working sort of nonstop tomorrow?
I think I will be doing a lot of problem solving tomorrow.
Yeah.
If yesterday afternoon and this morning are any indication, there are a lot of moving parts and some things that we need to help happen. But hopefully the first guests come in at 7:30 and the last ones come in at 4:30, I think. So there'll be a long day of being able to see folks and see their reactions and what's happening.
Well, I'm going to read a little bit of feedback that we have so far, and then I'm going to encourage the audience. Right now, if you've got a question, comment you'd like to ask this hour, can you put a hand up here so David could see it? Okay, we've got a bunch here. David's going to find you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get a little bit of feedback from our non-in-studio audience, and then we'll take our only break, and then the studio audience will have plenty of questions here. Briefly here, one of the members of our team, Julie, says, I used to watch the show with my dad, but we watched it as a game show using Price is Right rules. Whoever got closest to the actual value without going over won that round. So,
I love that.
really, really good. Dave, watching on YouTube, says, well, mid-century modern is still hot, right? If not, I'll take all I can get at a discount. How is mid-century modern doing?
I mean, and that's, for furniture, that's hot, that's hot. Especially, pardon me.
I'm sorry, I started to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead,
I
Arlie.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
especially people like Gio Ponti and Carlo Molino, these great Italian designers, where one chair can bring $400,000 or $500,000.
Well, what about Nakashima?
Oh,
Nakashima, it just is the gift that keeps on giving,
Yep.
because the people who commissioned Nakashima in the 50s and the 60s, paying $50, $100, maybe $200, which was a lot for a piece of Nakashima furniture, they're just cashing in. It's like, it's unbelievable. And you can see an auction of Nakashima where there are a lot of pieces. There could be 25 pieces, and they all go over the high estimate. They're
And the great thing about that, pardon me, Arlie, is that, you know, they have receipts that come with most pieces of Nakashima come with the original receipt, right? So I think, right? And that helps
Yes.
with the provenance. You know,
wonderful
it was,
documentation.
you know, it was
And-
made in 61, right? And,
Mhm.
and
So, Dave, on YouTube, mid-century modern, still good.
Yes.
We've established Victorian, not so hot. But there's different genres that, you know, maybe everything old is new again eventually. And maybe, the kids now who think things are out the door, maybe their kids will bring certain things back. You never know. Everything is kind of circular here. We got to take our only break of the hour. And when we come back with a team from Antiques Roadshow, our live audience here at WXXI Studios will have questions, comments, all in advance of tomorrow's big day. They're shooting 3 episodes for 2027 down at the Genesee Country Village Museum. It's sold out. Don't try to go. Don't ask someone for a ticket. It is totally sold out. But there are questions from the audience here next. Well, we're having a great time with a live audience. And once again, will the audience welcome the team from Antiques Roadshow to Rochester. There is so much demand for Antiques Roadshow. This, if you're just joining us, is a show that started in 1979 in the UK, the American version, 1997, and just like the American office being better than the British office, the American version has been better for years. Sam, how do you feel about that? The office, which was the better? I actually think the Ricky Gervais version was better.
I think, you know, these are apples and oranges. The Ricky Gervais version of The Office was better, but there are some American imports that have done very well, and I think Antiques Roadshow is one of them.
All right. Well, I hope so. I hope so. We're so glad to have them here. As Marsha Bemko, the executive producer of Antiques Roadshow, mentioned, they've been to Rochester almost 3 decades ago, and tomorrow's visit is not in Rochester. It's in Mumford, so it's technically Greater Rochester. But they're thrilled to be here. And Becky Wehle, president and CEO of Genesee Country Village Museum, is here. You are thrilled to have them. You can sleep on Thursday, because
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of this work here leading up here, but it's going to be really, really an amazing day here. Everything is sold out. I keep emphasizing that, but it's not going to be great if hundreds of people show up just hoping to get in tomorrow, because they really can't accommodate you. All the tickets are gone because there's been so much demand. In fact, Marsha said For the several thousand coming tomorrow, there were 25,000 or so people who wanted tickets. So
Over 26,000.
26,000.
Don't forget about that, yeah.
very, very full day. All right, David Griffin in the back here. You want to send the microphone over, and our audience is going to have questions and comments. So first up, sir, your name, and go ahead with your comment and question.
My name is Howard Becker, and quick question.
Right on the mic there, Howard. There you go.
Quick question for you. In this time of such an advanced internet, don't most of the people who arrive to the roadshow have a pretty sophisticated idea of what they got before they ever show up? I mean, the idea of innocence is kind of over, right?
That's a very interesting question. Let's go down the line. You want to start with
Well,
this, Marsha?
the internet has spoiled some really good stories for us. No, there's a lot you can learn on the internet and get confirmed there, but when you have something rare, it's not as easy to nail it down. Or is it really a Picasso? Authenticating something. And no reputable appraiser will do that for you by photo. It's like seeing a doctor. In order to do it right, they need to see it in person. So,
Okay, down the line here. What do you think, Leigh?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Marsha said, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Arlie?
I actually think there's a lot of misinformation on the internet.
Oh.
And this is
Where?
where
Where?
Oh.
Are you sure?
So what I've noticed, actually, this is when I really love AI, when the information that they have, that a guest has gotten from AI, at least 75% of it is incorrect.
Wow.
So it presents a great opportunity to correct it.
Yeah.
Wow. Sam?
Well,
go ahead,
sorry,
Sam.
I was going to say that the show has evolved over 30 years. And back when the internet was really nascent and not very helpful, it was much more about knowing what is this. Now people come in with an idea, and as Arlie says, sometimes wrong, but the role of expertise on the show has evolved with the technology. So you're coming for a different kind of appraisal, but you're still finding out new stuff, and you need an expert for that. And that's why it's still viable.
Leigh?
Yeah, because a Google Lens search will only bring you up so much stuff, information, things that are like it. But we're gonna tell you, if we really know exactly what it is, we're gonna nail it. And actually, we have the object right in front of us, and there's nothing like seeing the thing in person, holding it, and the problem is, again, if the person hasn't done any research, I get so excited. If they say they don't own a computer, some people don't have a TV. I don't have a TV, so I shouldn't say that here at the TV station. Sorry. Cut that.
No,
But
I admire that. I think it's great.
But seriously, we get so excited. We say, so you don't have a TV, you don't have a computer, or so you don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about it, and they really, you could tell. And then Marsha or Sam talks with them, and they said, yeah, they really don't know anything about it. And then it's a great appraisal,
Wonderful. I'm also kind of struck by the parallel with Genesee Country Village Museum, because more and more now, AI is letting you learn about ancient Rome with these AI videos. And I'm going, how much of this is, the real deal? How much are we learning about our past? I think on-site learning and what you guys do is next level. And do you want to say just a word about the importance of being together in person to
Right.
learn, as opposed to just relying on the internet?
For all the reasons that everybody just talked about. Like, you can learn about 19th century cooking or blacksmithing through a textbook, or you could even watch a video, but to be in our buildings and to see them doing it and to kind of hear and feel that experience, that's what's special about a place like ours. And it's the same thing, that in-person connection and the chance to bring history to life is what's really important about these experiences.
Are you open all year?
Yep.
Where do people find you online?
gcv.org.
Oh, see, I can do the marketing for you.
There you go.
Okay,
Thank
Sam.
you.
I had one thing that has happened to me hundreds of times. I go up to the pottery table or the glass table, and they say, just feel it. And I've had Leigh say to me, just smell it. This in person, the other senses are so important
Interesting.
in determining what's
Yeah.
right and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Arlie.
The other thing that the computer isn't going to tell you is condition of the piece. Because the condition, if something's been repaired or it's badly damaged, it greatly affects value. And, you know, people sometimes they have identified the piece, but they just don't know the full story. And we can supply the full story when we have it in our hands.
Let's go back to the audience here. David's just going to keep moving around here. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Steve, and looking forward to going tomorrow. And Marsha, you're hilarious. You mentioned 3 episodes were being filmed tomorrow. Do you know when they'll be broadcast or ready to be broadcast?
Sometime between January and May. We don't decide, we don't get the holes to fill from PBS until the fall. So we don't know even those broadcast dates, and then we'll figure it out, but sometime between January and May. And if you register for our newsletter, you can find out first. There's my plug. And also, we'll let the WXXI know, and they'll let you know too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Okay, go ahead, David.
I'm Barbara from Keuka Park, and I want to know how the sites are chosen.
I like to joke we throw darts. But it starts with, we stopped going to convention centers after season 22. We're taping season 31 now. And so we built a whole new database of where can we go that will let us spread out our set, let us have 3,000 of our best friends there, and let us in. And not every place says yes. I won't give you the list of who said no. But so we build a tour and then it has to make sense. Why don't we do shows on Saturdays or Sundays anymore? Because most of these places won't rent to us on those days because they're booked for lucrative weddings and things like that. So that's why our show is on a Wednesday for tomorrow. And then we're based in Boston. These guys are based in New York. Appraisers are all over the place, but a lot of New York. And we prefer to travel west to east if we can. And we did it this year. We started out west, and this is our last city this year, so closer to home.
Very good. Next, David, you want to just keep going around the audience here? If you're just joining us, we've got a live audience at WXXI Studios with a team from Antiques Roadshow. Go ahead, sir.
My name's Bill Shaw. I guess this is for the appraisers. When do you actually first get to see the items that you're going to be appraising? Is it when the camera turns on you at the table, or do you get to look at these prior and put your thoughts together?
Well, we don't, it comes to the table, but the camera isn't necessarily on us. Usually that's only if there's like a roving camera. But we see hundreds of people who come through, and in most cases it's the first time I've ever seen anything. There's no prior, but Marsha might want to speak to something.
Well, when I was explaining about how, do you have anything good, and the joke with the appraisers, by the way, is that if it's jewelry and they're sitting across from each other, the only thing they're seeing are women bent over. The thing is with the when you're watching a taped appraisal that's been chosen, we've interviewed the owner and the appraiser. It's a vetted and planned out process. Arlie and Leigh tomorrow, along with about 70-ish other appraisers tomorrow, will look at hundreds of items. Hundreds. They have a section where they sit glass with other glass experts. Folk art for Leigh with other folk art experts. If it's a decent sized item coming their way, they hope it doesn't go to their table mate. They want to be the one to appraise it.
Yeah.
So so they're appraising all day long. That's when they first see the item. And then if it's something they're going to record with, they may do some more research about it. We also make them corroborate with another expert so that if this is an opinion of value. And if someone else has another opinion, we want the expert to tell you, my colleague thinks, but I think. And so it's all happening. This is reality TV. It's all happening right then and there.
Go ahead, Leigh.
But we might look at, we do look at, as Arlie said, hundreds of objects all day and only pitch one all day. And, and sometimes these guys have experienced it. We pitched 3 or 4, but in recent years, just one, the one you really feel it on, and sometimes it is the end of the day. It's a little desperate, but these guys always sniff it out. They always sniff it out. I got to give them credit. You guys are great.
Sam, what percentage of the appraiser pitches to you go through to actually make air?
It depends on the day. I mean, sometimes we can have a very thin day or a very rich day. So, but it's usually around 50%, sometimes 70%. And so some of the reasons are that literally the thing's just not going to work. We've seen it too many times before, or the person bringing it doesn't own it, or they're a dealer. And we spend time, as you know, trying to get to know the guest a little bit so that we can work out whether they're going to actually show up on camera with a great story and an item. And I was thinking this is also one of the reasons why the internet question was so interesting. Half of what we do, or some proportion, because I can't make it precise, but some proportion of what we do is just about the story.
Yeah.
And that nobody can look on the internet for a great story, and if they do, we'll probably catch them out.
Sam, you are all phenomenal storytellers, and that's one of the reasons the show continues to endure. There's no question. Let's get back to the audience right here.
Hi, yes, I'm Kay. And I'm wondering, for the producers who are pickers, do you have size limitations of what the object will be? And what's the largest object that's come out there?
If you can bring it, and you can make it there, and you can carry it, it can come.
Yeah.
We
You
have-
have to carry it yourself.
We will not help you carry the item. You have to carry it yourself. But if you can bring it, and we appraise it. You have to look at our categories. We don't appraise cars, so don't bring your car. But it can't be too big, because we'll find a way. We'll figure out how to cover it versus you worrying about what will we do. Bring the biggest thing you have.
We have a drop-off area, so anybody who's coming to the show who has something large can drop off their piece of furniture with their companion, go and park their car, and then meet up. So if that's the first step. The other is, if it's so large that even 2 of you carrying it is too much, very often we've asked our appraisers to go out and look at it first before they do anything else. We once, in a convention center show, had a man with a large moving truck who had brought this incredibly heavy canoe, a dugout canoe. We had the appraiser walk out to the parking lot to look at that, because the guest had actually hurt their back putting it in the truck.
I had, if I may, in Detroit, Detroit was probably the 2nd or 3rd year of the show. I think it was early on in the show. A lady came at the end of the day and said, well, I brought the piece back. I went and got it. And I said, which piece would that be? And I'd never met this woman. And I quickly realized that she had talked with my twin brother, who looked, same suit and tie, And
You didn't have a different suit and tie?
Well, pretty much the same. Both wore dark suits that day. Unless we coordinated it, we looked exactly alike. So I said, she said, I went and got it, and I think it must have been really good if my brother sent her back home to get it at the end of the back. And so I went into the parking lot, and it was deep into the parking lot, and the van door slid open, and there at the end at 4:30, which was late in the day in those days, 4:35, and they would run out of film. They would literally not be out of film sometimes in the first couple of years. Was the greatest Duncan Fife writing desk sewing table that I had ever seen. It was just a masterpiece. Duncan Fife, 1810, original finish, writing desk with the original velvet, the original ink stand. It was a masterpiece. She said, well, it is late. I said, listen, I'm going to take this in. And I picked this thing up, and believe it or not, it weighed, whatever, 30 or 40 pounds, maybe 45 pounds. It was dense mahogany. But I carried that thing like a football field and a half, like it was a feather. I was so excited. My heart was going.
And you stole it?
How much was it?
Well,
What did you appraise it for?
I ended up doing it. I think I did it with Leslie, and because we couldn't. I said, Leslie, you found her, but I went and carried it in. Can't just give this to you, So we did it together, and I think I told her 80 to 120,000.
Wow.
So, and she got emotional. It was wonderful because she was such a nice lady. Ended up selling in some auction in the Midwest, and I ended up buying it at this auction. She never called me to sell it, for just fine, and ended up selling it at the winter show later on for I think $250,000 or $300,000. But after paying $180 for it at auction.
Did you? Is it worth more now?
That hasn't lost a lot of money, only because it is the greatest Duncan Fife writing table in existence.
But it's still brown.
It's still brown. It's down about 30%, I'd say.
See?
Yep, it is. But
Wow.
We got to do this real quick. When you say brown is down, brown is encompasses exactly what?
in general, 17th to 19th century carved furniture. That's it.
Okay. What a story. And Kay, you've got our attention. What are you bringing tomorrow? Go ahead, sir.
I don't have anything.
Oh, you don't have anything, Kay? She just wanted. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Russ Lipp, and I want to thank WXXI and Roadshow for such a rewarding experience. It's a pleasure to be watching these things and doing, today's discouraging news all the time. It's a pleasure. So thank you very much.
Russ is a cabinet maker. We spoke earlier, and I really appreciate your knowledge of furniture because you know how it's made. You're a cabinet maker.
Two-part question. Marsha, how do you select appraisers? And the second part for Leigh, when you see someone that brings in a Boston tea table that feels that it's worth $50,000 and you have to tell them that it's a fake, what goes through your mind?
All right, let's start with Marsha.
Wait, what was the question?
How do you select appraisers?
Oh, carefully. We know PBS is the most trusted institution in our country still. And we know you trust us. We know you trust Antiques Roadshow. So we're going to make sure when we take on a new appraiser, and that's because we have an opening, and Sam is appraiser wrangler, by the way. he gets to be appraiser wrangler. We're going to make sure your reputation is squeaky clean. You don't just check out this way or that way. Your gossip checks out. It's a small world. We just want to make sure that you're really, and that you're knowledgeable. If you fooled us, and you come and appraise for the day, and you don't really, you're not as expert as we thought you were, your table mates will tell us. That doesn't normally happen, because we only have so many openings because either people are retiring or some other thing, and our veterans get first dibs.
Okay. And Leigh, we got to keep it tight. He's just asking about having break bad news on a.
Yeah, we have
appraisal.
to. We basically, if we have to break it and it's being aired, as I say, we just have to break it to them, and hopefully, they learn something in the process, and our audience learns how to spot a fake, and what things to look for to identify a fake.
Next question from the audience.
Yes, Tom Proietti from Rochester, New York. Have you ever solved a crime on the program?
Sam obviously has, I think.
We have, actually.
Yeah.
We helped solve the crime. We weren't the crime solver. Sam, do you want to tell the gold bar story?
It's such a complicated story, but yes.
We got 2 minutes left.
We had a woman who brought on some wonderful little pieces of finds from the sea floor.
Gold bars.
Well, they included gold bars. There were some other things too.
Yeah.
And quite surprisingly, she was much more candid about the facts. And this ended up being an Interpol issue, and the French authorities had been trying to track down these items for years. And so they appeared on Roadshow, and I think it was about 10 years later when we were really getting the dirt on this stuff. And these people had, there are very strict laws about going down to salvage things. And in this particular case, it was a case of note, but there were lots of looters, and this came from some of those looters.
They tracked the criminals through Roadshow. So if you have something stolen, Don't bring it to Roadshow.
We'd rather not.
What a story. Briefly, Ruth wants to know, with this being the 250th anniversary of the country, are you particularly interested in pieces of U.S. history this year, presidential items, war items, etc.?
Yeah. We making it a 250 special. We made it, which is aired. You've seen it, yes. So we were watching for those things. And listen, we're not, material geeks like these guys, but we're history buffs. So we're looking for that, and it rings a note now for all of us.
Well, we are just about out of time, and I want to thank you. This audience is so grateful for the work. I really thought that was a lovely point that one of the audience members made. This program covers a lot of topics. We certainly have to cover the range of topics in the world. PBS and NPR do. But sometimes what we need is education, levity, great storytelling, just great production. Antiques Roadshow is all of those things, and I want to thank you all for making it. And the audience wants to thank you now as well. It's been great. The producers, Marsha Bemko, Sam Farrell, Leigh, Keno, Arlie, Sulka, the Appraisers, and Becky Wehle, President and CEO of Genesee Country Village and Museum. You've got quite a day tomorrow. I want to thank you, not only for what you're going to do, but for coming in here today as well. I know how busy you are. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. We've got more connections coming up in a moment.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Eben Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.